Welcome to the AMZING podcast,
your number one source of entertainment. Hello and welcome to the AMZING podcast. Today we're going to review Quiet Place. Wow, is it an amazing film. I actually went inside to the cinema, blank head, blank space, blank everything. I wasn't even paying attention to any trailers. I didn't even knew this film came out. I knew there was a film coming out called Quiet Place, but I didn't know it was, it came out April 6, 2018. I wasn't even aware. I saw it like a few days later with my friend. She was so excited to watch it. So when I went in and the film started, wow, I saw sign language, which I'm actually learning, and I was so happy that I saw some sign language there. And the creatures, the way that sign language correlated with the creatures and, the horror film and all that stuff. Wow, amazing, actually amazing. So, before we start this review and give my, impressions and what I think and a little bit of, the scenes and stuff, I'm just going to leave you with the trailer and screen. So, in 3, 2, 1, go!
Total devastation.
Who are we if we can't protect them? We have to protect them.
You are listening to
The
the...
AMZING podcast.
Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also click the bell to get notified. Now, before I start with the review, and yes, I know I promised you I was going to start the review after the trailer, but we need to mention the crew and cast members, at least, the main ones. And before I mention them, I want to shout out that everyone that worked in this film, everyone, even the ones that did 1% on the film, they did phenomenal, because this film has 100% of amazingness. It baffles you the way that it's made. It just gets you in this, scenery and this ambience that you just wouldn't expect how sign language and monsters and horror could become one thing and actually be horrific, actually be, well made. And I gotta shout out to Quiet Place. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. Now, I'm not getting a little bit sidetracked here, so let's go back to the main crew members and cast of this film. On IMDb.com, you have it listed here. So, the full cast and crew, directed by John Krasinski. Writing credits go to Brian Woods, Scott Beck, and John Krasinski on screenplay, and on story we got Brian Woods and Scott Beck. We also need to mention Millicent Simmons, Noah Jupe, Kay Woodward, and Leon Russo. Also Doris McCarthy. Now, Produced by Michael Bay, Scott Beck, Jeffrey Beecroft, Sylvia D. Costas, Andrew Form, Bradley Fuller, Aaron Janis, John Krasinski, Alison Seeger, and Brian Woods. And then, music by Marco Beltrami. Great music. All the songs and ambience music that was in the background and on every single section of the film, great. It would build you up to that, horrific parts when you would like be all, in the scenes that you were like, no, don't let that happen. Like you would be like trapped in a corner and you'd be like so anxious. Yeah, that was the word I was looking for. Anxious. And the music, the scenes, everything mixed, it gives you that anxiety that the characters on the film were feeling. So Marco Beltrami, great music. Cinematography by Charlotte Bruce and Christensen. We also have film editing by Christopher Telefrenson and many other cast members that did phenomenal. I'm not gonna mention them all because it's a big, humongous, section of artists and musicians and editors and cast members and crews that did awesome in this film. But we can't mention them all. It's a big list. Sorry, but shout outs to all of you. Now, this film is, really well made, like I've been mentioning many times in this review. So, the synopsis of this film is a family is forced to live in silence while hiding from creatures that hunt by sound. Yes, these creatures, for some reason, they are, really hypersensitive to sound. Any sound that disturbs their ears, they get crazy and they just don't want to deal with the situation and then just kill whatever's in the way. It's making the humongous, annoying sound. When I saw the film, I immediately was like, wait. Since, remember, I went inside the cinema blank. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was really about. My friend didn't knew about the film because, I only saw the trailer once in a YouTube ad, just to make it clear. And I wasn't really paying attention to it. So when I got invited to see Quiet Place with my friend, I was like, alright, Quiet Place, horror film. And I didn't even bother to check again. I just went for it. But wow, was I like happy that I accepted to go to the cinema and watch this film, Quiet Place. Originally I wanted to see Ready Player One, but my friend insisted on a horror film. And who am I to deny a horror film? It's one of my favorite genres. Like, I can watch a horror film at any time of the day, and I'm gonna be happy. So, now my initial thoughts of this film is that when I got into cinema, I was like watching the film, and I was like, alright, so it's all quiet. Hence, it's called Quiet Place. So, what am I supposed to expect? Then I see them doing sign language, and I got so happy and so excited because, like I said before, I'm learning sign language, so it's a plus for me. And the good thing is that I could understand some of the sentences that we're doing with the sign language. Wow. They are using ASL to get the message across. And like I said in the synopsis, since they had to live in quiet place hiding from the creatures, they needed to communicate through sign language. But not all the characters were deaf. Only one was the daughter. The daughter was deaf. She couldn't hear. She needed, hearing aids. But the hearing aids were a little bit off, and they weren't working perfectly well. Her dad was trying to fix them, but they never worked correctly. So yeah. Anyways, so the film starts really quiet. Actually, completely quiet. You don't hear a thing. Only a few sound effects here and there, like the pills and when they grab things and when they give a few steps here and there. But not that much at the beginning. If you're a person that silence drives you nuts, film might drive you nuts at the beginning. But other thing besides that, it's great. So yeah, the film starts like that, And then this little kid is like one of the kids. It's drawing a rocket on the floor. Oh, and by the way, before I continue, there will be a bunch of spoilers here. So if you haven't seen the film, I'd rather you stop my podcast right here, the Andrew Side Podcast, your number one source of entertainment. I have to say that again. Anyways, I would suggest you to stop the podcast, go watch the film, either way possible, on any cinema or any place you can actually watch the film, or when it comes in DVD or Blu-ray or online streaming, and watch it. And then you listen to my podcast. But don't forget to listen to my podcast, okay? It's important. My podcast is crucial to understand the film. Alright? Or to enjoy it, because I'm not going to go too much in detail, because I never do. I usually go more for the production side, because it's where I usually focus on. But you should only listen to my podcast if you watch the film, because I'll be, saying a bunch of spoilers, because it's really difficult to say a review, to mention reviews, and say stuff, mention things I love from the film without obviously spoiling you. So if you haven't watched it, go ahead and go watch it. Now, continuing with the film, after you see the little kid drawing the little rocket and whatnot, he starts, signing with his sister and all that stuff. And after a while, when they're gonna leave the place where they were, which was abandoned, it looks like a pharmacy or something like that, the little kid grabs the rocket, and the dad says like, no, in sign language. He says, no, you can't have the rocket. And then he says, listen, you can't. And then he grabs the rocket and puts it on the table and takes out the batteries just in case it doesn't turn on and make all the noises that the rocket does. And if you don't know what kind of rocket we're talking about like a white NASA rocket kind of thing. So when they leave the pharmacy and they start heading to their house and where they live, the kid on the bridge sets up the rocket, makes a bunch of noise. One of the creatures come out, and snap. Kid dead. Kid's dead. Hence, dead. And they make a little, grave there, so they know that he died right there at the bridge. Really sad, really tragic. Fun way to start a film, eh? Well, it ain't horror if it ain't, horrific. Hence, the name of the genre. But yeah. Then the movie, continues, and you start understanding a bit more when you start reading, some of the whiteboards that the father has been writing, because he writes all the weaknesses and pros and cons of these creatures, how we can affect them, how they affect us. And at every cost, at every moment, you needed to be silent. They had to be so silent, they wouldn't even eat on plates. They would eat on lettuce. So because if you put a plate, it'll make a ding. And you don't want that ding on the table. It'll make, a distraction, and creatures will be like, yeah, there's stuff there. And they were going to destroy, and kill everyone. So they had to eat on soft things like lettuce and stuff like that. So they would get the lettuce and use it as a plate and put the actual food in top of the lettuce, and which was really curious. And at one point, when I noticed that everyone could speak and hear but the daughter, I was like, why are they speaking in sign language if they can actually understand, hear, and speak? Then I started thinking, wait, when I noticed that the creatures actually have a hypersensitive hearing, I was like, okay, so they need to stay quiet so these creatures don't attack and kill. Because I didn't catch the drift at the beginning with the rocket. I catch the drift after they're on the search for the creatures, right? And they're on the river, right? On the river, and they start, speaking, and I'm like, wait, what are you doing speaking? And then I catch the drift of the film. The film starts rolling and rolling. They don't let the daughter go on the hunt with the father and his brother, the remaining brother. and her mom was pregnant, and she gets all depressed and sad and annoyed and bothered and angry, the daughter. So she runs away to where the little baby brother had died, and she cuts the wire of the rocket, hence as the dad told her to do. And she starts, laying there, turning on the lights, but it wouldn't sound the rocket because, she caught hearing the boombox wires of the rocket. And she lays there. A bunch of stuff happens. Creatures start, appearing more and more scenes. And before I continue, those creatures, they looked so peculiar. Like, every time I would see them, they look just like the aliens from Alien vs. Predator. What? Maybe they were inspired by those aliens because they have the same, stretched head, the same gooey skin, the same big teeth, and the crackling noises they would make with the mouth, and they looked exactly like aliens, just a little bit lighter skinned. Instead of being blackish, they were like a creamy brown, grayish kind of color. I don't even know how to explain the color because it was like a mixture of brown and creamy and gray. I don't know. Anyways, the creatures, pretty terrifying. Let me tell you that, pretty terrifying with those big old teeth, and every time the saliva would come out from the creatures, you would see that you could see that they can hear things. Oh, and speaking about them hearing and stuff, they're blind. They can't see whatsoever. So if you would make noise, they could only trace you by noise, not by where you are. So that's a good thing. Because if you were in a bad situation where the creature could actually kill you if you made any noise, you could just probably make noise and run off. And they would just be like, okay, noise here, but there's nothing. So, in some extent, that's a pro more than a con. But how's that helpful in some point? Because what if you're not that fast? You can get killed either way. So either way, you need to stay silent next to these creatures because, creatures have hypersensitive hearing, and that's, not good, not bueno for people that can actually speak and hear. No bueno. So, what was the most scariest part of the whole film? When the mother was left alone and her water broke and she stepped on a nail going down the basement, and then she went to the bathroom upstairs and she had to give birth, and the creature was going upstairs. That was terrifying. I was so anxious, my legs were shaking, and I was like, no, let her do her thing. She was trying to, give birth in the most quietest way possible, but that's impossible because contractions, man, the pain, the agony you feel while you're giving birth, women say it hurts. It's impossible to give birth in such a silent way. Eventually you're gonna give out a little yell or a scream or something. It's inevitable. But she managed to do her thing. She hides on the shower. Somehow she gets out of the bath and she goes in the shower. Oh, and the funny thing is, in some extent, because nothing in this film is funny, that when the husband comes in and he sees blood on the bath, he starts almost crying, because he thought she died because of the creatures eat her or something, but that wasn't the case. She had hit herself on the shower with the baby, and the baby was born. Baby survived. So they go to like a cabin in the house, and they go into a secret underground basement place thing to like hide from the creatures, but the creatures still managed to get in, and the mom was again left alone. Every bad situation was left for the mom, the weakest character ever in the whole film. Why would I say the weakest? Because she had to take care of the baby. She was pregnant before, and that wasn't really a good scenario for the mother to be alone or be nearby the creatures, because she ain't got that much strength, because she's not surviving for herself, she's surviving for two, herself and the baby. So it's impossible to just take it, nice and clear. So it was horrible. Like, honestly, the worst parts was where the creatures were nearby and the mom was left alone. So, at the end, spoiling the end. Oh, before I spoil the end, it feels like there's going to be a second part to this. A second part. So, I'm really excited that there's a second part to this. And I'm totally going to go watch it. I'm going to go tell my friend when the second part comes out, be like, yo, let's go watch it. This is worthy of a film to be watched twice, thrice, and whatever number you want to say of times to watch this, because it's great, amazing, and it makes you feel super. So now going back to spoiling the ending, sorry, but I need to finish this up somehow. So going to the ending of the film, the finish line of this, the conclusion. The kids are locked in a car, like in a pickup truck. There we go. That's the car they were locked in, like a pickup truck. And after they were locked in that pickup truck, they start making noises so that creature could like barge into the car and leave the dad alone. But at the end, so sad and tragically, the dad just gives himself to the creature and yells and screams out on the top of his lungs, and I was like, no way, no, that could not be the ending. Sadly, the dad gives himself to the creature kills the dad, and the brother grabs into the shifting gearing stick and just lets it go and lets the car go to the house. They go to the mom, they hug her, and they'll start crying. The mom had a shotgun, the husband's shotgun, and right there, boom, the film ends. But it feels like there's gonna be a second part. I'm pretty sure there is. And like I said before, I'm gonna go call my friend and be like, hey, yo, let's go watch the second part, because this is worthy to watch it many times. So yeah, I hope that if there's a second part to this, that they don't stretch it too much, and they keep it to the, to the point where it's going, because it's going well, it's doing fine, it's doing perfect actually. And the film, to finish this off, because I'm speaking too much and I'm saying too much blah 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 in this AMZING podcast, your number one source of entertainment. I'm saying too much blah 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 blah, blah here. So to finish off, I'm just gonna say that the film is well made. I had a lot of fun watching it. I understood a lot of the sentences because I'm practicing and learning sign language, especially ASL, and it's really great. And I was also, signing in the cinema with my friend while watching the film, because we were both learning sign language for different reasons, but we're gonna use it together. And like I said, I was really happy that the sign language was incorporated in the film, because the deaf community isn't really, seen that well on the films and stuff. Just like Shape of Water, most of the deaf people in the community are annoyed, are saddened because of the way the film ends, and they feel like they did a bad portrait of the deaf community. Just to finish off, I really recommend you to go watch it as soon as possible, in any format possible, whether it is watching on the cinema, on Blu-ray, DVD, on streaming, wherever the hell you want to watch this. But you got to watch the film. It's really recommendable. So, that being said, I'm just gonna go, let you have your fun, and sit there and watch the film. So, that is all I got for you today. So, I'm just gonna leave you with my social networks, which you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat as Andrew Van Zark. So don't forget to subscribe, click like, and share this podcast anywhere you feel like it, so that people can actually listen and have a wonderful time and having a bit more of an opinion of how I felt watching the film, what I liked, what I didn't like, the parts I felt that were a bit more horrific than the others, and what baffled me, what made me feel happy, what made me feel anxious, and all that stuff. So, like always, I'll catch you on the flip side. Adios, amigos!
You are listening to
The Andrew Van Zark Podcast.
your number one source of entertainment.